And welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. I'd like to welcome you all to the show. When we get into certain topics, certain ideologies, right, and things that needs to be broken down to its simplest form, to where we make it plain, serious topics. Especially if it's been on my mind bothering me, I always like to call up Brother Low Key so he can delve into these subject matters with me. So right now, I'd like to welcome Brother Low Key to the show. Welcome, God. What's up, bro?
Hey, what's going on, Brother Blair?
Man, it's all good. Especially, okay, now, we were talking at one point about synchronicity, right? And when you sent me that logo of the new Tumblr logo of the head of a black female, right? Well, just prior to that, yesterday, I was speaking with a young lady, and she's still in high school, and she was so disgusted and upset in the way that young black men view black women and how that perception will play on into the future and poison another generation. And the analogy was how today let me finish this though. Black men will pass by black women and save the white girl. How they don't value and respect black women, all the way to how they speak in front of them with no respect, as though a lady is not present. And she's trying to figure out, how do we reverse that mindset and that mentality, because apparently it's rampant throughout her high school. And basically she was saying, we're tired of being called the strong black woman. Like we have to just take so much when we're human too. When does relief come? So, Brother Loki, you got any answers for her?
Yeah. So, first and foremost, psychology. Psychology is key in this, and it has helped me tremendously. And I've had countless amount of hours of conversation over the years with black women and black men of various different ages, like my mom, before she transitioned, peace be upon her. Peace. So many conversations, so many hours of just speaking on, the mind and the psychology of our people. Mm-hmm. And that's where it starts, actually. And low-key, we could probably say that's where it ends. That's where the trouble started in terms of how we were programmed. And in terms of, correcting the problem, that's where we can come up with solutions. So I would suggest for black men and black women to go and find some teachers. Now you can go online nowadays and go find some, black women and black men that speak on the mindset of our people from an unbiased position. From a very, let's say for the black women, I would listen to the black women that are basically charging up the black women on where they can improve and where they're falling short at. And for the black men, the same thing. And reason being is because you don't want to go and listen to somebody that's going to coddle you and tell you what you want to hear. You want to listen to people that's going to tell you what you don't want to hear, so we can come up with solutions and solve some of these problems. And my comrades, that's actually what we practice. We don't coddle anybody. That's why you hear me going so hard at the Moorish Americans, because they need to be kicked in the ass for the bullshit that they doing. Being stagnant and not evolving and acting like some of these things that they've been regurgitating is actual fact, and not, just something that's more of a mythological nature and an allegory more than, actual historical facts, So that's just an example of how we can't coddle, and we can't, step on eggshells when it comes to how, where we need to improve upon within our genders and collectively. So for black men and black women, they need to listen to both sides. But when they listen to both sides, they need to be listening to black men that are admonishing black men, that are telling black men, this is what you need to do and this is where it's your fault. And then for the women, because that's the brothers that I listen to, when they speak on why are black women so masculine nowadays, the brothers that I listen to, they say it's because of the femininity within black men today, and for the women that I listen to, they admonish black women and they tell them where they're falling short, where they're having these complaints, and they're not actually looking at themselves in the mirror, taking accountability for this particular thing that we're seeing today, this psychological problem that we're seeing within our people today.
So let me ask you this. Do black men, do there need to be a separation between black men? Meaning we're grouping from the female point of view. When she says the black man, she's grouping the experiences she had with a particular type of black man, when we all are not the same type. I'll give an example. And I although I know this is happens in a movie, but hypothetically speaking, it also gives a premise to mindset, right? A situation occurred on a bus, right? We say a bus, right? The white guy passed up the black children to go save a white girl, right? A little young white girl, right? Now, blacks would protest and say he's racist. You passed up these black children to go save this white girl, right? But in my mind, I mean, now this is men and women. In my mind, he did what he's supposed to do because that's his race. The men that's on the bus, why are you waiting, or why would you even wait for a white man to save a black child when you there? It's your job to save the black child. And if you're not seeing it that way, something is wrong. If you're a black man and you looking for a white man to save someone that is black, that's a problem. Now, the black men who would step up and say, no, it's my responsibility to save that black child, that's separate from the black man who would look for the white man to save that black child. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we need a clear distinction on who is who. Because the black female is looking for, in her mind, and that black man is out there, they just can't locate him. And then the black male is looking for a specific type of female. She's out there. He might can't locate her, so he figured, well, look, let me go travel to another country. I might can find her there. I can't find her in America. But we missing each other. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's
absolutely
right. It's how do we fix that? It's like, okay, yeah, we all not the same. I'm starting to understand. Because I would be upset. Damn, dude, you don't have no love concern for the youth. Like I always used to say when I was younger, growing up, right? It used to be, you could find it anywhere, right? It was hard to do. That's why you used to have, young men, you wanted to get a 40 ounce if you was too underage, or a pack of cigarettes or something. Y'all want to go to the park or whatever, or hang out, or y'all finna go somewhere, but you're under 21. Back in the day, it was hard to find a man that was finna go in there and buy it for you. You know what I mean? Especially one with standing, right? But that's no problem today. You can stand in the store and you'll find someone that will do it. But at one point, you would be out there all night, and you would be like, man, you can keep the change. You just trying to get somebody that's gonna do that for you. It's like, what is going on as far as morality and meaning, why aren't we amongst each other treated as sacred to where you want to protect the people rather than get over, hurt, or misuse the people?
It's because of the culture today. We talk about it all the time. But the way that the culture changes is with the mindset, and it's also with the fact that we have to. I'll preface this by saying something that happened with my family after my T. Jones, my mom transition, is that I told, after talking countless amount of hours to so many family members after it happened, I realized something, and I told my family that we have to stop with this coddling. We have to stop keeping secrets amongst each other. And I'm saying that to also say that our people, we have to start being more open with the trauma that happened to us as coming up, especially for the black women, the black women that was molested. I'm learning now through studying psychology, specifically through black women, on how that has affected them, that could lead to obesity, that could lead to homosexuality. I was listening to this one sister, and she was saying that one side effect from child molestation to a black female is that whenever they become obese and they get addicted to food, it's because they want to take on the appearance of undesirable, because it was, they're blaming themselves for being, desirable to a pedophile at a young age. So they subconsciously make themselves appear to be undesirable, and you see it within these food addictions. I've been studying food addictions a lot lately. And then also, of course, homosexuality in both black men and black women, in terms of them being molested as a child, and then, getting into a same-sex, culture based on that trauma, being inflicted upon them at such a young age. And that gets, it goes directly to the subconscious mind. And then when they get older, they really don't have necessarily a definitive answer on why. They try to blame it on this, that, and the third, but they're not talking about how they were molested as children. And sometimes, and I've actually asked, certain people about this, and they lashed out at me and wouldn't even answer it. That let me know right off the top what it was. The fact that they couldn't even admit that was the source of their homosexuality. They try to, put it off on something else, but we know that it's an issue because they're not talking about it. It's not a common topic of conversation for black men and black women to get on platforms and speak about them being molested as children. And I can understand why, because it could be embarrassing, and, it's something that maybe they tried to bury, and put away and lock it away and just ignore it. And but then you have these side effects. Anytime there's a disease festering, you're going to have these symptoms, and you're going to have these side effects that are going to occur. And so when it comes to Black culture today, where we always talk about the symptoms and the side effects, but we don't talk about the root of the cause. And as long as we don't talk about the root of the cause and we keep these secrets and we try to hide shit, then we ain't gonna never be able to come up with a solution for these diseases, these mental illnesses that we're dealing with today. So we got to speak up. We got to be open, and we got to be honest about these things.
Bro, you hit it right on the head, bro. I mean, through my personal experience, right? When I was coming up, right, I dated, a lot of sisters coming up. And as I started getting older, after a while, we get into these long-term relationships. And they, over time, when they begin to trust me, it was always a mother's boyfriend, the babysitter's brother, the walking to school, the man that's hanging out on the street. But all of them had that in common, where they were molested by male in the community, right? So I took on the mindset, well, if you want to be with a Black female, you're gonna have to understand that it's likely to have happened to them, and you got to deal with the mindset that comes from that, right? Because sometimes they standoffish, and you wonder, why you ain't giving your point out your heart, or why you ain't, because they protecting themselves from something that happened to them, the trauma that you spoke of, right? And you right, you would have to say, you would have to, as you couldn't complain as a male, you would have to understand that she's acting out from what has transpired when she was at her youth, right? And it's like, wow, man, it's you have to have strength. And I see why over time it becomes rough, and that's why the divorce rate is high, 70%, so and so. But the goal would be, we're getting together, and when we have our children, we will correct the wrong and start a new generation, where a safe place where they can be healthy, and then they can go on and marry, meet somebody healthy. You right, we have to redo the horrors of the past. And it's a process, man, but it has to be worked on. Like you say, coming out of slavery, the mentality, the abuse, the mindset. I mean, it jacked the whole race of people up, and we trying to overcome that sickness, bro.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Man, the reason why I say it's hard is because, like you said, nobody want to talk about it. Everybody want to keep it hushed, and then you blaming all men, for something that sick motherfucker did. You know what I'm saying? Some men wouldn't even dare do nothing like that. But I don't want to take on the blame for what that person done. Don't put it on me. Like we was having a conversation the other day, me and a friend of mine, on how a female could have been in a bad relationship or been married previously, but she would want to take what she went through in that relationship out on you as if all Black men the same, and you like, hey, wait a minute, I ain't had nothing to do with that. I don't even know that's not who I am. Don't judge me on your bad past experiences. So you right. How do we get the right type of psychological help? Because this is another thing I noticed. Certain issues you go through, you can't go to a white person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can't. They don't know what your experience is or what you've been. They don't know nothing about you. You going to a white therapist for answers, and you're not gonna get nothing. You know. And then where is the free or the community therapist where people can go talk to and pay them something, but the doors is open for them to talk and get certain things off their mind and off their chest to create a healthy community. How do we put all this together, bruh?
Man, man, I got so many thoughts, man. I don't even know if we'll be able to get it all out, but because we just freestyling.
Right.
But first I'll say, and maybe you can remind me if I forget, I want to start with a couple of people, and then I want to go into relationships with our people and how we can, instead of ending our relationships, how can we make these things work? So I'm going to start with, there's a few people I got in mind, but I want to give a couple of people that speak more to both sides, both black men and black women, because there's some black women that I listen to that just strictly focus on black women. But the only part about that is that, as a black man, you have to be balanced within yourself to receive that kind of information and not start looking at black women skewed. Right. So I'm not even going to, give out those particular women, because you got to have a certain level of maturity to be able to even be able to take in that kind of admonishment coming from a black woman speaking to other black women as a black man, without starting to look at black women as everything is their fault, because it's never been a time in our culture of our people as African people where it's ever been one-sided, where we've ever had issues and it was just all one gender's fault. We've always been in this thing together, and we always gonna be in this thing together, because truth is we're really just twin halves of the same essence. We're just mirror reflections of each other. We're the true opposites of each other. I've said it many times that the opposite of our people, African people, is not white people. It's not European people. It is, if I'm a African man, it is my woman that is the opposite to me. Not this whole other group of people. They got their own issues. Our issues and our plight and our evolution and our destiny and our choices is at the core between us, because we are twin halves of the same essence. We are, the African man is just one half of the coin, and the African woman is just the other half of the coin. We're on the same coin. Right. We are the same thing. We're only in the appearance of separation spiritually. But as far as, women that I could recommend, I recommend Six the Goddess. Okay. I just came across her from watching Country Wayne. I seen her acting on there. Then to my surprise, I started looking at her content, and she's top tier. She teaches women about the traumas that they've been through, about programming of the subconscious. She studies psychology. She's excellent at what she does. She speaks on both sides. She doesn't give any passes. She's hard on women. She's hard on men. She's very balanced. And if you can look past the harshness of the way that she delivers, and you can focus on what she's actually saying, the actual light, the knowledge that she's giving out, then you'll be able to benefit from it the way that I have. Also another sister I've known about for a minute, I just don't catch her content quite as much, because usually when I see her pop up on a timeline, it's on IG. And currently I'm not on IG a whole lot, but it's Love Dorsey. Okay. That's LOV_DORSEY. And Six the Goddess is SIX. She's on YouTube, Six the Goddess. SIX, the Goddess, and I think it's spelled GODDIS. That's GODDIS. And Sixth Goddess is conscious. I don't know. Sixth Goddess has knowledge of self, and she's pro-black. Okay. Love Dorsey, I don't know her level of consciousness, but in terms of psychology, that's her passion. That's what she studies. You know, she's deep off into the study of psychology, and she's excellent at what she does, and she speaks on both sides. And you know, so those are for black men and black women. Those are two people that we need to listen to. And there's plenty other women, I'm sure, that's out there. But just make sure, like I said earlier, that when you listen to somebody that's not biased, that's not going to coddle you, that's not going to tell you what you want to hear, because the truth hurts. Right. Like the artist, the truth hurts you. If it don't hurt, if you don't feel no pressure, you know, no pain, no gain. Right. You know, if you work out, if you ain't feeling no pressure, if you ain't feeling that burn when you work out, then you need to go harder. You know, you need to go, you know, you need to put in more work, you know, because that's how we, you know, that's how we stimulate growth. You got to break things down, and then when it regrows, it comes back stronger. You know, that's, you know, now in terms of, now this goes right into relationships, in terms of, you know, issues that we have in our relationships with our women, we need to tap into these resources, these people that we're speaking on, and even broadcasts like this, so we can start solving problems within our relationships, because it's things that we may not be aware of that these people can identify, that we can then take to our other half, and we can bring it to them, and we can start solving some of these problems, you know, within, you know, these addictions that we have, and, you know, these psychological, you know, issues that we have, mental health issues, depression, you know, food addictions, you know, I mean, you name it, you know, there's, you know, these particular resources that I'm giving out, they speak on all of those things in detail on multiple videos and broadcasts, you know, and podcasts. So, you know, for our relationships, it is absolutely crucial, before we give up on our relationships, that we tap into these resources, that we look for these resources, and we deal with some harsh truths. And that, you know, before we give up, we go to our other half and we talk about these things. I was talking to a brother the other day, and I was telling him about some things that I had experienced, and he was telling me, well, you need to start having dialogues on a regular basis. And, you know, sometimes we don't want to have these dialogues because we done already gave up. Right. You know? Right. but you know, if you really, if you haven't completely thrown in the towel and you really love that person, then they probably deserve to have these conversations where we could bring some new solutions to the table, and we can start revealing to each other, and specifically those who are hearing this and is resonating with you, we can go and we can find solutions, and we can find the root to the problem. Because if we can find the root to some of these problems that we're seeing in our other half, and we can bring it to the table, you'll be surprised at their reaction when you start revealing to them things that they probably never heard or never even thought of. But when you see that reaction, they'll say, damn, that makes so much sense. And damn, you're right. And that's how we can start finding these solutions and solving these problems, and we can keep our relationships together, keep our African families together, and we can start changing the culture.
Exactly. And I'm going to tell you why, bro, because what I see, right, it says that we write our history in advance and then we walk through it, right? As the world is darkening up, right, we have to create the peace we want in the future today. Because if we don't start on it today, then in the future, as it continues to darken up, we'll be at each other's throats. So we got to position ourselves for the future today and clear all this up and get it out the way, you know. And that's the thing, because as the European, as their population decrease, and we're becoming to be the majority, then we have to set a precedent on how we deal with each other and create unity and peace for the future, or else we'll be just at each other's throats. Example. I mean, look what's going on in the rap community. Had the young BTB Savage killed in Houston, out in River Oaks. I don't know if you heard or not, and I didn't jam.
Yeah.
See, and I didn't hear. Well, I didn't jam his music or anything like that. I'm just hearing the reports, and it's like, wow, money is supposed to bring peace and relaxation because you fought so hard to get to that status, and you get there and you get took out as if you were still on the block. What's going on? And we have to fix it because so it don't keep growing and get out of control and create something in the future that'll be hard to deal with if we don't correct it before it gets out of hand. It's halfway there, but I think we still got time though to fix it because. Damn, bro. Or maybe I'm what they call what's the word for it? Maybe I'm a skeptic, bro. Maybe you know what I mean. Maybe I'm dreaming. I don't know, right? But I like peace, man. I like relaxation. I like traveling, man. Sitting and enjoying life. You know what I mean? I mean, that's like, damn, you don't want peace and enjoyment and relaxation and enjoying the beauties of the planet. You know what I mean? Females nice and shaped, body nice, brothers. Am I asking for too much? You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm a dreamer. Shit, I don't know. Goddamn. I don't want to be.
I'm a dreamer.
Yeah, but I'm a dreamer. That face.
Dreamer.
Yeah.
Face.
That Scarface, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy, Say, man, I'm telling you, since you brought up Scarface, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking this Scarface, right? Because he said in this song when he was talking about, and let go tell Miss Maddie, right?
Yeah.
And Miss Maddie was our babysitter, right? In South Park, like she had a store too called Taylor's Cookie Shop, right? And I know me and Face was there at the same time, right? And we got into a situation, right? But that's why I say Miss Maddie didn't play, right? Because Miss Maddie didn't play. I ain't gonna tell the whole story, but I'm just saying Miss Maddie didn't play, mate. But real, she didn't play. But it's out of, man, it's crazy, dude. Is all I'm saying, bro. It's like, but I'm gonna tell you why, because you have a child, and I have children, right? And you want your child to grow up, marry a nice person, nice home, be at peace, travel, enjoy this planet, right? And you hoping that other parents got the same mindset because you want him or her to marry inside their race and be at peace, and but you want the findings to be great, where it's a sea of peaceful, nice, beautiful black women, and it's a sea of educated, smart young men out there that's building and owning businesses and creating, and the choices is just there, and unity, and you know what I mean? Because you want their future to be bright. Damn, what parent don't? I don't know, dude. That's why I say, but I'm a dreamer.
But I'm a dreamer.
I get, man.
Yeah.
But that's why these topics so important, bro, because we create the future out of our mindset, out of our thoughts. And if our thoughts is on some trash, then the future gonna be trash.
Right.
And who want to live in trash? That's all. You know what I'm saying. So you say shit.
Shout out to to all damn near all the black neighborhoods and a lot of these Latino neighborhoods in this city, because I never would have known how much trash, and I ain't talking about the people,
right?
The literal trash that's in these neighborhoods, that's in the fourth largest city, one of the most popular places on the planet. Because people got to understand that America is the most popular place on the planet. This is where the talent of the world comes to play, comes to showcase their skills and their talents. You know, these particular places, these major cities are the most visited places on the planet, the most popular places on the planet. So to be number 4 in America, the most popular place, and have a city with so many resources being dumped, you know, Super Bowls, basketball championships, NCAA championships, HBCU championships, Astro championship, Rockets championships, you know, top tier sports teams, you know, from the low grades all the way up to college D1, you name it, you know, the best of the best. And you got all these resources coming in, and you got black and Latino neighborhoods that look like pure garbage. Shout out to Frenchtown. I thought I was in a military war zone when I walked through that neighborhood, because quiet as kept, black already know, I've made it a practice, partially for my mental health and for my active meditation, to walk through really any neighborhood in the city, so I can get a boots on the ground understanding and look of what's really going on within the city, you know, which is still a balanced city, because you got a city lifestyle and a country lifestyle. But in terms of the resources, they're not being disseminated to black and Latino neighborhoods. And I can tell you that from having boots on the ground, spending hours in these neighborhoods, going back to them, back and forth multiple times, seeing the people, seeing the ethnic groups that actually live in these neighborhoods. And I just actually made a Twitter post. I know Sylvester Turner has known me since I was a kid. He knows my mom personally, you know, before she transitioned. And there was a governor, I think of Connecticut, that came to this city. I think it was for one of these championships that just happened. And he said that downtown was butt ugly. That was the quote. You know, he said it was butt ugly. And so I sent out a tweet, and I seen a headline that said that Sylvester Turner responded to him. I don't know if he responded or not, but I responded to it on my Twitter at Northside Lowkey, NAWF and I forwarded the message to the governor, Ned, and Sylvester Turner, that he's right in what he's saying. While downtown does have, you know, these high rises, and you got these nice buildings, you're gonna still run into these old decrepit, you know, little project looking homes, you know, even sometimes little 2-story little apartment homes that, you know, look like they ain't been touched since the 50s or the 40s, or in the case of Frenchtown, which is a part of Fifth Ward, those houses were built by the Creole people who came from Louisiana in the 1920s. And it looked like it ain't been touched since the 1920s. I mean, it was just ridiculous, you know, but one of the reasons why I'm bringing this up is because it's hard to have peace of mind and have balance living in amongst all of this literal trash.
Fact.
You know,
fact.
You know, when you live in, we got a black mayor, you know, so we live in a place where we got, you know, certain politicians in place, and I'm not putting all the blame on him. You know, I you know, have some limited some understanding of, let me say this. I have some understanding of when it comes to resources, and I know that it's still a European game at the end of the day when they're dealing with their jurisdiction. So it's not like it's not like we're ignorant to the fact of why this has occurred. You know, now of course, you know, my area expertise is dealing with the Moors and international law, domestic law, so on and so forth. You know, so the environment that we're in also adds on to our mindset. I always like to quote Martin, and it was in his "You So Crazy" stand-up, absolute classic, probably my favorite stand-up of all times. And he was talking about, as a man, he said, if you want to attract women, he said it ain't hard. Just keep your place clean. Make sure that it smells good. He says, if you have a home and it's piss infested, this was the joke. He said other people gonna come into your place. He used himself as an example. He said, if I walk into a place, if I walk into an apartment and this is piss infested, like they just don't give a damn. He say, shit, I'm just gonna start pissing on the walls myself. He said, shit, everybody else did it, and that's how we treat our neighborhoods. There's so much trash and it's so decrepit, and the streets and the concrete and the pavement is so torn down and decrepit, and we got these, in this city it floods, on the drop of a dime, a little bit of rain, and we get flooding because the resources aren't being allocated, especially to our Black and Latino neighborhoods. And when you see trash, you treat it like trash. You throw trash. I don't do it, but you throw trash on the ground because you see trash everywhere. Just like what Martin says. He's like, shit, everybody else throw trash. I might as well do it too.
Right, fact, right. Yeah. You don't care. Now, I say, yeah, you're right, bro.
Somebody left a goddamn boat on and I did a video of it in Cashmere Garden. Somebody left a damn boat on the side of the road. They ain't even go a whole boat. Across the street from me at Eggleston, somebody dumped a dead horse in the ditch across the street from me, put salt on him and threw a blanket over him, and it stunk up the whole block. That's how much when you live amongst trash, this is the mindset of people, the lifts that they're going, the type of shit that they do when they live in this shit that look like military war zones.
Right.
Then hit them.
And and when you said military war zone, we got to realize certain areas Black people didn't choose to live in. That was the only place they was going to let you move and get a house in or live in area in that part of town, right? And the ghettos come going all the way to Germany, where they allocated the Jews to. And we have to not be a victim to their agenda. Like, we have to create our own reality and agenda and how we view things and what is peace to us and how we would like to live. Because I was saying, and I did that, and I said that on a podcast I did speaking on Africa, right, as far as the underdeveloped parts, right, of Africa, right? Because sometimes, and I was saying that sometimes they spend so much time trying to reconnect with the ancestors till they don't think about themselves and what they need so the ancestors can help them create a lifestyle while they're alive on the ground, while they on this earth, right? Meaning, focus. What do you want? How do you want to see your environment? Where do you pull it from within? Stop letting outside sources dictate your reality. What do you want? And create it and build it, and then you ask the universe, ask the God, ask whatever you believe in to help you, to help assist you in what you want to see out of society. And you can't tell me that if you had the choice, that's the whole clean glass, dirty glass. You can't tell me if you had a choice, you're going to say, give me that dirty glass over there, I'm thirsty. Or if it is dirty, goddamn, get them clean the motherfucker up, is what I'm saying. But damn, have enough love in yourself to want a clean goddamn glass is all I'm saying. Is the point. Because now if you sit back and say, well, I'm gonna wait for the colonizer to bring me a glass, he gonna go get the dirtiest mother he can find, shit, and he gonna hope that it's chipped so that some of the glass can get in your throat. That's
Yes, sir.
that's his job. You know, that's what he's supposed to. That's he was fashioned to be that way towards you, and you can't put your trust in hoping that he gonna give you something out of the kindness of his heart that's gonna benefit you. It ain't happening. It ain't. We've been waiting on that day, and it ain't happening yet. It's 2023. Generations done gone and died. They done gave speeches on this shit, and he still ain't changed, man. It's not gonna change. Hey, that's
Yes,
the
sir.
game, bro.
Yes,
So,
sir. Yes, sir.
so, bruh, man, the people, those of y'all that's listening, check out Sister Goddess and the other young lady the brother spoke about, because we got to start healing and creating something for this future generation that's coming. We can't just pass the buck on and leave it to the next generation that's coming behind us to just automatically just solve it on their own. We got to at least give them some tools to work with. Give them a head start. You know, and the last point too, man. Last point, bro. Because this is another controversial issue, right? Texas education system is trying to take over HISD, right? But now the black parents don't like it because they want to get their hands on a lot of these the older black schools, you know, Yates and Wheatley and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they saying that it'll be more of a pipeline from high school to prison. But the question was, well, why are you concerned now when the problems and issues that was going on, why you didn't correct it for centuries? Now they moving in and getting ready to take it from you, and that woke you up. I don't know, dude. I don't know, because when they get their hands on it, it's not gonna be the same. They're gonna start gutting programs. They're gonna damn near treat it like a military school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's it. But then, you know what though, brother? Love, what I'm thinking? Maybe we don't think that this is ours. Maybe we don't think that America is ours, and that's why it's so important the work you're doing with the Moors treaties and showing how no, this is ours and treat it like it's ours because we've been here. We not
Yes, sir.
we not guests here. You know what I mean? This is ours. So take some pride in this land because this land is yours.
Yes, sir.
You know, and that's
Absolutely.
so that's one of the reasons you're doing what you're doing. But how can what you do instill in the people that take pride in this because this is yours? Because they've been called Negro and different titles, and how can we tie this Moorish identity to instill pride?
Well, what we're doing is, and we've spoken on this in podcasts before, is that it's all about incentive. Every action is motivated by an incentive. So, one advantage that comes with just being a Moor is that pride. Pride in our history, our culture. This is a pre-slavery culture. This is one of the greatest, empires in our history was the Moors. And shout out also to the Khoisan people that exist to this day that are the oldest, people of America in terms of what has been discovered to this day in terms of DNA evidence, physical evidence, archaeological evidence of the Khoisan people being on this particular land in America for at least 51,000 years ago. And check out the book, The First Americans Were Africans by Dr. Imhotep. And also check out Michael Imhotep's channel. It doesn't get a lot of fanfare, but in terms of information, it is absolutely unique and it is of the highest quality. And while we're at it, let me just throw in Dr. Umar Johnson. He was probably the first brother I ever heard. He's definitely the first brother I ever heard say publicly, in just period, him being a psychologist and him having a PhD in it, that when he was interviewing black people that were homosexuals, he said that 9 times out of 10, they were molested as children. 9 times out of 10, out of the countless amount of black people that he has interviewed as a psychologist, that they have been molested as children. I don't know how many times I got to say it. 9 times out of 10, because Dr. Umar going to say it 3 times, so it hit that subconscious mind through repetition. Right. So huge shout out to him, and another huge shout out to him for the FDMG school that I donated to, and also huge shout out for him being the loudest voice right now on the planet for our people, African people worldwide, to be with each other, and he made one of the greatest points ever made in terms of the reason why us as African people, us as black people, why we need to be in healthy relationships with our other half and not go outside of our people, is because once you do that, you take your power, wealth, and resources outside of your people. And especially when it comes to marriage and you get under the same household, you want to keep those power, wealth, and resources circulating amongst your own people. That's one of the major problems that we have in terms of, our socioeconomic plight and issues, is that our dollar, our power, wealth, and resources goes outside of our neighborhood. So we're not building for our own neighborhood in terms of just construction. We're not making sure that our resources circulate, multiple times. Shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson within our neighborhoods, and so on and so forth. So, I want to shout them out. And, it was one more person. If I find her before we end this podcast, then I'll definitely bring her up as another resource that people can go to help us with the psychology of our relationships and making sure that, moving forward, that we start to have healthier relationships amongst each other, and that we better understand the psychological problems and traumas and programming that we had at such a young age as children that have led to our insanity and our ignorance to this day, but that's where we got, that's where it starts and it ends. Yeah, in terms of where we need to, what we need to focus on in order to make a change in our culture. And one last thing, so I just put a bow on what you brought up, is that when ADOS came out and then eventually FBA absorbed ADOS being American Descendants of Slaves and FBA being Foundational Black Americans, from my perspective, one reason why black people gravitated towards it, the number one reason was money, because it was motivated by opportunity, or perceived opportunity, of getting reparations amongst black people by taking on those identities. But it's also because black people, they want to be a part of a culture that they can take pride in outside of just being entertaining, or being a court, or being, a court jester. Not saying that it's, that's no admonishment on the comedians, because they're brilliant and talented and always need to be a part of our society, because they're able to take universal truisms and traumas and speak on them so candidly to where we can face them and we can deal with them, or we can hear those uncomfortable truths, right, that people want to hear. Whether you agree with what they're saying or not, we need to hear these harsh truths so we can get to the healing process and we can start being more honest about our culture and the lifestyle that we're leading. Shout out to Corey Holcomb and shout out to Zoe Williams. So in terms of the Moorish identity, it is an identity that is pre-slavery, where we can have our pride, and it also is an identity that has the best chance of getting reparations, not just from European nations, but also from the African nations that sold our people out, that publicly came out and apologized for selling our people into slavery. This is not a domestic issue. One of the biggest problems that our people have is that we think domestically and we don't look at things internationally. We've always been an international people, and anybody that's a Moor is already in the mindset of, they're already in an international mindset because it comes with it. It automatically comes with it. When you're a part of certain cultures, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Ghanaian, you name it, there's certain things that come along with the culture. Just like within Black people in America, certain things that come along with it. And one thing that comes along with Black culture is all of the subconscious programming that happened in slavery, and a cutoff on the history and the facts that happened before slavery in terms of the prominence of our people and our people having the majority of power, wealth, and resources before 1492. Right. We could get to the bottom of the issues, and we could find out the mistruths and the lies that they told us just by pivoting into the Moorish culture. You'll be able to uncover so many things internationally in terms of law and, certain wars that happen that'll lead you to present day. You'll, just by being a Moor, and by calling yourself a Moor, just the power of the tongue, there's certain things that you're going to magnetize yourself into in terms of knowledge and information, where you'll start to naturally uncover the truth behind how did we get to this point.
Yeah.
Because one, it's two things, that Europeans don't want us to know. They and now I'm gonna speak on America, but really it's even beyond that. But I'm speaking to our people that were born and raised here. And even beyond, I want everybody to hear this, is that they didn't want us to know that we were Moors, and they didn't want us to know that we're the oldest people on this particular soil.
Right.
So when you become a Moor, those are two things that come with it automatically off the rip. You learn that in the 101s as a rookie, So that's some of the benefits of being a Moor.
Yeah, I noticed when the Moors fell at Spain, that's when everything kicked off, from the slave trade in Africa to over here in the Americas, and even the mindset of the hatred of Black people was amplified in Spain. And that's another study we got to delve into. But that African slave trade is secondary to the Moors' loss and the Inquisition and what took place in Spain. You got to study that first to understand what went on in Africa.
Say that one more time, Black. It was breaking up.
You got to study what took place in Spain in the Inquisition with the Moors before you go into the African slave trade. That's why you got a Lagos in Nigeria and a Lagos, Spain. It went down in because you got to remember the first slave ship took off in the 1500s, and that was the slave ship Jesus by John Hawkins. But the Moors fell in what, 1492?
1492 in Grenada, Spain.
In Grenada, Spain, about 3 to 6 months before Columbus took sail. But prior to that, Spain was so mad during the Inquisition, they were just killing Black Moors. I mean, horribly. Then the Pope got involved and said, well, hell, if y'all find a doctrine of discovery in any land that ain't Christian, you can do whatever. Then chasing the Moors to Africa, they would just start grabbing up Africans. Then the Moors came to the Americas. They just started grabbing up black Native Americans, black Moors, black whatever, slave and enslavement. But the beginning was the Inquisition period in Spain. That's a study. And so, and we here though, but we here, and we creating our future. One more thing I want to say though before we get out of here, there also has to be a class on how to protect land and property that your parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents left to you, the importance and the value of it, so you don't lose it and give it back to the state. Some kind of way it got to be a class to teach families how to maintain and keep that property, because God ain't making no more land, and keep that property in the family. And the importance of doing it. Some specialist or somebody gotta get a lecture on that. Power, wealth, and resources. Crucial. Power, wealth, and resources. Gotta kind of keep it there. It's, you know, and have a network to where, whether you networking in America with other farmers or other textiles or other companies that can benefit and utilize that land to where you can profit off of it, or international trade with that land so you can profit off of it. But it's value in it. And that's networking right there that was just given to you. You didn't even have to buy it. Just passed down in generations free that you can benefit from it. But don't give it back to the system is all I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
That's all I'm saying. But look.
Yes, sir.
Yo, you know, like I say, we get to traveling, bro. We get to ride.
Yeah, man. I got one statement to make.
Is it?
Oh, man. Check this out, man. Look, earlier, you know, I was talking about us, you know, having a mental fortitude to deal with some harsh truths.
Right.
And this is a prime example of what I'm talking about. Now, anybody who has heard, you know, us, you know, whenever I'm come on to, you know, Black's podcast and speak, y'all know I'm a proud Moor. You know, even though I know, you know, we can't take none of these titles with us, and you know, it is for, you know, this life game that we're playing. I understand this position, but I still have pride in it. You know, I'm not a religious zealot, but I understand how. You know, how efficient of a tool it is in order to get some things changed. And with that being said, I want to give a shout out to the brother, the general, Sarah Sudan City.
The city.
City has shitted on the Moors, debated the Moors, but at the same time, he got a video showing an immense amount of love to the Moors, where he actually breaks down the word itself, its origins, its metaphysical origins, its etymology. He's shown an immense amount of love to the Sufis and their culture and spoke of them at the highest level. You know, so we can't overlook that. And he says a lot of facts. Now, we ain't got to agree with everything that he says. You're not supposed to agree with everything that anybody says, but you got to have, especially as brothers, but sisters too, we got to have the mental fortitude and strength to be able to listen to, you know, those harsh truths, you know, and hear some things that we may not necessarily want to hear. I don't mind, because I like the harsh truths. I don't mind, you know, the criticism, you know, constructive criticism, and I just want the knowledge. I want the information. I'm not even focused on the person. I want the knowledge. I don't care who the knowledge comes from. You know, I don't care who the truth comes from, just as long as you're giving me something I can utilize, some viable truths, you know. So I got to give a shout out to this brother, because he is a prime example of somebody who don't got no problem putting his foot to anybody ass verbally and in terms of information. And he is a crash course on how you got to be strong mentally to be able to accept facts and information, whether you like it or not. Even if it's some things that you don't disagree, if some things you disagree with, that's fine. But this is a person who I've been watching since I've been conscious, a person who I sent his videos to my mom, who was a Christian, who was a Christian woman. I was sending videos over a decade ago to my mother from Sarah Student City when he was showing that the creator of the Jehovah's Witness buried himself under a pyramid at his grave site, and who showed all the obelisks in the old grave sites. You know, the Egyptian obelisks that we see all over the world, and in the old grave sites that Europeans and politicians were burying themselves under to this day. I got a countless amount of pictures in different cities of these graveyards and these particular occurrences. You know, on that particular Jehovah's Witness grave site, not only does he have a pyramid, but he got a six-point Moorish star in the middle of the pyramid. But he a Jehovah's Witness. I learned this from SETI. I learned a countless amount of things from SETI. So if you can have the mental fortitude and you can get past the things that you disagree with, you're going to find a countless amount of jewels. Because there's one thing about that, brother, in my opinion, there is nobody better when it comes to PowerPoint presentations where he shows you where he gives you pictures, where he gives you physical proof of the things that he's teaching on, and you can tell that he's somebody that studies day in and day out constantly, because I've been listening to him long enough, and I've researched his information long enough, you know, to be able to recognize an absolute top tier teacher when I see it and I gain understanding and I gain information from it. So I got to give a shout out to him, you know, just to put, you know, a bow on that point about being able to take in harsh truths in order for us to solve some of these problems and in order for us to grow and evolve.
Shout out to SETI. That's what's up, God. Yes, indeed, bruh. Yeah. We need that, bruh. Those are our scholars that's preparing the path for the future. We need that. And one thing I want to say in regards to putting out the good and leaving the bad, right? And this is just a mental work study, right? If you had to survive and you had to go into, and you had 30 minutes to go inside of the store to grab things that you deem that you would need to survive, right? How would you, or what would you grab, and what would you leave behind? And that determines the mindset you have. You gonna grab a TV, or you gonna stack up on some water?
Here's some entertainment or something that your life depends on.
Right, your life depends on, man. That's what it boiled down to. Because when your stomach start growling, you can't look over and be like, you know, damn, I'm finna go get them beef jerkies that nigga grab. It's gonna be a fight. Go in there and go and know what to get, meaning know what's important and what to get out of this life. Don't go grab something that's useful, but the enemy made you believe it was valuable. That's another trick. You've been hoodwinked. He put the glitter on the side and painted it real shiny, and you went for it. And he was happy because he ran off with the valuables. Don't fall for the pigeon drop, nigga.
The banana in the tailpipe, huh?
Yeah, don't get the banana in the tailpipe, man. Because you got that sister on side of you, and she like, yeah, you come out. What the fuck we gonna do with this? You know, you gotta know, man. You know, because you protecting your family, you providing for your family. You gotta know what to grab. You know that. You know, man. There's so many stories. I learned that young too, hustling. It's so many. I could tell we'll be all day, but brother low key, man, it's always good, man, to get your perspective on things because, it's different from mine and it's valuable. You know what I mean? And it attracts certain parts of your brain, or it wakes up certain parts of the brain that may have been laying dormant, and it pulls it out so people can think. And it adds its own flavor to it. So I definitely appreciate you for that, bruh.
I appreciate you too, Brother Black.
That's how we roll, man. Shit, anything else for World Creek Radio before we get out?
Man, last thing, man, when you run up in that store, make sure you go behind the counter and grab that pistol and that shotgun. Because out here in the wilderness of North America, you gonna need it along with that water and them canned goods.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Grab that old pistol and some bullets, huh?
Man, I'm trying to tell you, man, because it's real out here, man.
Yeah, it's
I'm
real.
trying to, I'm gonna just be honest. So the last thing I'll say is, man, I guess I got to preface it by saying this. How I ended up actually in Acres Home. On one hand, I could say that it was destiny, but then on the other hand, it was also based on, possibly based on the circumstance, because I had caught a pistol case because I was racially profiled. I was in Studewood off of Yale Street, and the police ran down on me deep, and I had my pistol with me. And they all, as soon as they pulled up on me, all the, European police had their guns pointed at me. And so, that's how that got on my record. So when I went to go get an apartment, I was going to move into this other neighborhood. I was going to move into the Heights. And when I went to go put in my application at this apartment complex, because I was staying in these apartments in Studewood called Tiffany Oaks. They used to be called Tiffany Oaks. They got a different name now. And when I went to go to these apartments in the Heights, they were much nicer than the apartments I had been staying in. The apartments I was in, it wasn't, you on any given day I could wake up standing in a pool of water because the apartment would just flood out. It was just, it was garbage. It was just like what I was saying earlier about how they treat, our neighborhoods. They're decrepit, torn down, and they don't get the type of resources they need allocated to them. So I wanted to move into this apartment complex, and then they seen my record. And even though, I brought my father with me, peace be upon him, to be a co-signer on it, they still wouldn't let me be a resident in an apartment complex because of my pistol charge. So I ended up putting in an application in Greenspoint, and they, I had already paid the processing fee and everything for the application, and they were just, basically finishing out the process. But while they were doing that, I was still kind of looking around, looking for a place. And I seen a rent house, which eventually I took on a mortgage at that house. But I came across a rent house, and, it was, I'm from Acres Home in Studewood, but, this particular part of Acres Home, even though I was somewhat familiar with it, I wasn't an expert on the terrain in terms of just exactly what was going on, because my mama stayed in Garden City, and I primarily hung out if when I was getting out of school at the 9th grade center at Eisenhower, where I would go to my mom's part of the neighborhood and go to Miss Lily. Miss Lily house, or Aunt Jackie, or Aunt Donna, and go and hang out. And then, I go with my partner at the time. I'd be hanging out on Go Bank during school, after school, or I'd be on Hollyview in Hollyview apartments over there off of Antoine. And so, but even that was those being my primary hangout spots. over where I'm at now, I wasn't as well versed in just, the terrain, especially at the time when I moved into the house. So what happened is that while I was waiting on those apartments in Greenspoint, waiting on everything to clear, I ended up seeing this house. When I walked in, everything looked brand new. And so I was like, man, forget an apartment. I'm going to move in and rent this house,
Right.
And, I think I was like 23, 24 at the time. What'd you say, Black?
No, I'm saying right. Yeah, you of course you want the house over the apartment.
Yeah, I was like 23, 24 at the time. And, I moved in. But I thought everything was all good until, once I started living there and I started hearing them gunshots going off all the time, I was like, damn.
Right.
I didn't know it was like, I mean, we know Arkansas is what it is, but, you don't hear gunshots all the time over in Garden City.
Right.
In certain parts. It was just this particular part where I was at, it was just a lot going on. I don't want to say too much, but, it was just a lot going on at the time, because if I say too much, then y'all start putting two and two together. Y'all know exactly where I'm at, even though it is one of the largest black neighborhoods in America. It used to be number one. Right. I don't know where it right now, but I'm saying that to say that gunshots go off so much in the neighborhood that, me personally, I don't even, it ain't even a second thought for me. Right. It started to become a second thought once, I took on my own family, had my son and, right. My lady and, even with the mother of my son, when she was staying here, their safety became, when it was just me, it was. And even when I had, let somebody come and stay with me, the homie at the time, you don't think about those things as much because as men, we like, hey, it is what it is. We more trying to just record it and document it than anything, maybe throw it on YouTube or something, and monetize it. But, it's, I'm just saying that to say, once again, just about environment, how sad it is that you get so used to gunshots going off all the time. And just speaking to, once again, the mental instability of our people and our culture and our neighborhoods and, the reason why things are the way that they are amongst our culture. And, but we got some solutions. Right. And, we're here to bring about change. To help in the effort for change in our culture and also to bring about information about the grand scheme of things in this game of life that we're playing. So I just wanted to add that, as a final thought.
Yeah, bro, I understand, man, look, I had discussions with people, elderly black people, who were upset at the fact that we wasn't creating, or put it like this: the generation before them didn't create elderly living homes for black people to where they could rest in a peaceful and a nice environment. For the rest of their days before they pass on, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, we got to look at that because those that's out doing the shooting, right, you disrupting young children who got to get up, go to school the next morning, but they can't, they sleeping in class, they up all night for the gunshots, or somebody bullet went through a window and hit a child while it's in the bed, and you killing off the future for the ones who would care enough to create that facility when your ass get old and you got arthritis and can't squeeze the trigger no goddamn more. You know what I'm saying? You killing it. You killing your own future. It's meaning what I'm saying is, see, it's played out. We done it to death is what I'm saying. We done the shootouts. You know what I'm saying? We done certain things to where it's don't make sense to do it no more because is outlasting its time. It's been done over and over again. It's saturated. So if you getting out there now and you saying, hey man, I wanna jump off in the streets, jump off in the game, it's like, dude, you just doing it just to do it, because for one, it's saturated. It ain't like it was in the heyday when it was first coming out. You know what I'm saying? It's it's so many people doing the same thing to where you ain't finna just really just ball all the way out of control. You know, you hustling for tennis shoes now or for a Gucci belt or something. You know what I mean? Something like that. But basically what I'm saying is, it's time now to put that down, pick up a new focus, and start building internationally and domestically, and buying land and infrastructure and businesses, and that's the new game. It has to be if we're gonna survive in the future, because as blacks and as the population is getting darker, I mean, when blacks is moving up, and the population of the Caucasian is going down, we need these brilliant minds to create a brilliant future for us. But if we take the minds out the game, what the hell we gonna have? You see what I'm saying? That's the new game is business and international business. You know, it's trading, it's economics, it's forex, it's commodities. It's, come on, we moving now, dude. You know what I'm saying? Hell, it's ridiculous to, dude. Okay, you want to get in the industry, you want to make you some money. You 20-something years old, you don't want to get gunned down on the corner. When you got children, you got generations to build for. You know, we in this metaphysical thing now. We studying the universe. We moving now. We creating things for the future. You know, hey man, this is not 1984. The crack epidemic is gone. Been there, done that. You know what I'm saying? It's a new day now. We survived it. So now take that knowledge that was gained from the game and start doing trade with other countries. Like you saying, you got NFTs out here now. You got, man, there's so much to pull from right now, bro. It's ridiculous, man. There's so many books out here to read now. I mean, you on the internet. You don't even have to read the book. You can listen to it while you ride. It's knowledge everywhere. You know what I mean? You know, it's time to get it, is all I'm saying, man. It's there. It's in our laps, bro. It don't make sense now to, you a grown man, and you snatch a lady's purse and you run down the street and get shot by the cops, died in the middle of the street with her, and your hand still clenched on the purse. That's a sucker way out. You know what I mean? That's foolish. That's ridiculous. So, hey, man, it's what it is, bro, low-key. But as always, bro, we not through, we'll keep you all in tune. And I once again thank you for sharing your thoughts here on Road Pick Radio. And brother Low Key.
Yes, sir.
Till next time, bro, we out.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.